In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, please be seated. Today we're going to talk about a story of a rite of passage, a way for human beings to go from here to somewhere else. Talking about it, resurrection from the dead, whose wife after resurrection, all these things which Jesus clearly talked about as believing in resurrection of the dead. And not only that, but he rose to the dead to prove it, the concept. He came back after his resurrection and taught his apostles, ate with them. And finally, he ascended into heaven and disappeared into heaven, from which he shall come again. States of existence, states of life. We believe that God, as Jesus told us, is the God of the living and not of the dead. So those who die, where do they go? What happens to them? Well, the church gives us this concept of a transitional state of life, transitional state of being. Sort of like standing in the threshold between here and there, stand in the middle. You're neither on this side or the other side, but you're somewhere in transition. Transition implies movement. We like to think of it as ascension, moving upward. But it is a state of ascension of consciousness. Because if we leave the world of our bodily consciousness alone, we transition out of it, we are no longer conscious. We know people who are unconscious, but yet alive. We know people who are in a dream state. You have experienced dream state. You're neither conscious nor unconscious. You're in a dream state. Your mind is active. Your body is inactive. We know of people who have gone into another form of consciousness, which is a meditative state. People who study brain waves can talk about alpha states, alpha waves of mind. And those mindsets which bring about a sense of calm, and which revelation occurs, in which divinization occurs, in which prophecy occurs. We can see the future, we can communicate telepathically. We don't need words, we don't need air. We are breathing, we are in a state of existence that after a while goes into a state of light. State of light. We are light beings. We are guided by light. What is light? But a frequency of existence. It exists in a band of frequencies. We have different colors of light, red, green, or a whole spectrum of visible light. But beyond that, there is the whole spectrum of invisible light. And the church teaches us that there is an entire spectrum of spiritual life as well, in which we are attaining to this state of purification. And depending on our state of purification is the state in which we enter into a divine existence, and we are called the sons of God. What is it like to be a son of God? What is it like to have ascended into the state of mind in which you are like a son of God, filled with light? Is it the light bulb in your head? No, it's a state of existence of life beyond three-dimensional concept. It is a state of life beyond worry, fear, doubt, sickness, or anger, hatred, and certainly not war. It's a state of forgiveness. All is love. All is goodness. All is divine, in the sense of all-knowing, all-seeing, and knowing that it is good. Therefore, that which is evil and not good is not of that realm. That is a realm of evil and things that are not good. We are taught by many religions, not just Christianity, but especially Christianity, that there is a transition state between here and there. That we are met by angels in states of light. That you might recognize your mother, you might recognize your uncle, you might recognize your grandfather, you might recognize someone that you will recognize and know that can guide you across the next threshold. If you can put down the terrors that you carry with you now. The whole purpose of our religion is to aid us into setting down those things which terrify us now, so that perfect love casts out fear in this life, so that we can learn that Jesus says, forgive one another as I've forgiven you, is not just a rule, an urging, but it is a pathway. It is something that we can utilize as a tool to move from one state to the other. The forgiveness of sins, the purity of heart that comes with it, the compassion for others, the humility that knows we're not doing this of our own accord, but we are being called. And we're only responding to a call that loved us first. Come, be with me. Come, join me. Come, be part of me. I begat you into existence. I created you, and I yearn for you to come back to me of your own free will. I yearn for you to seek me out, to find me, to overcome all obstacles in your path, and will not be denied until you know me, my love. Jesus says. He gives us a tool: forgiveness of sins, mercy, compassion, unmerited works of kindness that we can do for other people. And he says clearly, feed the hungry, shelter the homeless, have mercy on widows and orphans, relieve the yoke of the oppressed, and undo the effects of suffering. These are not just edicts and rules. They are paths. They are tools to use to ascend into a different state of life. What is it like to die? Every one of us asks this question to ourselves: what is it going to be like when I die? What is it going to be like? Many of us have seen people die. And it can either cause fear or bliss, acquiescence, or street smarts. What's it like? Someone said, well, it's like getting on a bus. You buy a ticket, you know your destination, you have your destination as an intention, you're going someplace, you're going from here to Chicago. You get on the bus, you sit down, you fall asleep, you wake up, and you're in Chicago, you're someplace else. You get out and everything's different. You go to Chicago, you can pretty well expect what it's going to be like when you get off the bus. If you go to any other place, you get on a bus, you have a destination in mind that you're going to be met by people when you get off the bus. You have a conception of what to find so that you're not surprised when you get there. Where is everybody? This is the purpose of our religion. It's to let us know kind of what to expect on the other side. if you wake up, open your eyes, and everything is more terrifying than you could ever have imagined, then you realize you messed up. You got on the wrong bus. To guide us through these complicated things, Jesus taught those Sadducees. They gave him something to which they could trip him up. This woman was married 7 times, had no children. Whose wife was she? As if that woman is the property of a man. See how skewed and wrong it was? And so he took their twisted idea and turned it on its head and said, in heaven there is no giving nor taking in marriage. But each one has their own birthright. Each one. No one is anybody else's property. This is an evil concept in which we have fought many wars, had many revolts, revolutions, acts of Congress. And still it occurs today. I had a man just here this week. In my line of sight, I'm standing out here, and he comes out from downstairs in the church and smacks a woman in the back of the head. I said, "Hey, what are you doing?" It's my woman. It's okay. It's all right. She's my woman. Buddy, are you confused? And so this concept is prevalent. My woman, my wife, my child, my this, my that. As if these breathing, living lives are our own property. When we are talking about this journey into the different states of life, we're talking about things that prophets and sages, mystics, have talked about for thousands of years. There's a meditative state in which we as hesychist, the type of meditation that we do in this church, in this ancient church, is called hesychism. It is a meditation on the identity of Jesus, and that in itself is only a tool to get to that state of existence in which form loses its meaning. We live in a world of consciousness, pure consciousness, which is devoid of thought forms. And the goal is to go beyond those thought forms. If I say cross or cup or bowl, you associate that symbol of sounds with an object that you can identify because you've already experienced it before. You know what a cup is. If I say to you, tas, it has no meaning for you if you don't speak the language to know that that's cup. So these word forms really are a limitation. And so our meditation into Jesus brings us to a state of existence, a state of mind that is beyond form, words, concepts, where it has been described as a state of light, a state of bliss, a state of knowing, a state of unknowing. I used to tell people I spent 40 years learning all I know, now I'm spending the next 40 years unlearning it. So to let go of the preconceived ideas and prejudices and forms that were ingrained in me growing up, and to let go of those things and prejudices and mind forms, to set myself free in my mind. Realize that God is not constrained by our forms of thought and our concepts and prejudices. He is not constrained by this. And even though He has set up a universe to obey certain laws of physics and of spirit, that He is able to intervene into those affairs in any of those states of existence and be merciful. We just heard Jesus talk about being, that woman was there with the angels. And we've talked before about what angels are. Beings of pure consciousness and spirit that are able to offer themselves as tools, the objects, beings to communicate with other forms of life, who understand the role of physics, dynamics, light, frequency, and understand these things by their nature. We are told that we are going to experience the return of the Lord like a flash of lightning. All of the great religions of the world, all of them, and even some of the primitive ones, talk about that there is a flash of light, that the sun will be flashing. Scientists will now call this a micronova. And that we have clear archaeological and astronomical evidence that this happens on a cycle of every 226,250 years, something in there. Time for the universe, for our galaxy, to make one rotation around its axis. And that we are due. And at the end times are upon us. We've had, out of 226 million years, we've had 226,000 years, we've had 5,000 years to prepare for the next one. Well, the 5,000 years are now up, and we're ready. And we can see the magnetic poles are shifting. We can see that the magnetic field of the Earth is weakening. We can see the empirical evidence of this. They've measured it, and can measure it for what happened in the last 150 years is this much. Now what happened in the last 20 years is this much. It's changing, and changing quickly. And all roads are leading to a blinding flash of supernova light, in which is a extinction event. It's foretold in the Bible. I shall raise the dead by my coming in a flash of light, and the dead shall rise out of their tombs. You do not know the day nor the hour. I will come like a thief in the night. Two men will be working in a field. One will be taken, the other won't. Some call it the rapture. Others will call it a rapid ascension into spirit world. A rapid ascension into spirit world. Shock and awe. No time to get on a bus. No time to take a ride. No time to ponder the destination. A baby, alive in its mother's womb, feels some pushing, some contractions, some pressure, some movement. And boom. Face full of light. doesn't understand it, can only experience it. When these things happen, we as sentient beings are being told what to expect. And that the manner in which you awaken is the manner in which you are alive in this realm now. If you are a being who forgives sins, and you hold not anger and hatred against others, and are not responding to calls of genocide, go get them, bomb them all. But rather are praying for the patience and mercy of God to intervene in the affairs of man, to make peace, to vanquish evildoers by their own plots, by their own pits that they've dug for us, but they've fallen in themselves. The whole world is trying to set it on fire. Not us. We are people who are not called to vengeance. Vengeance is mine, says the Lord. Your way must be forgiveness, mercy, steadfast in our faith, not giving an inch, not offering one bit of ground on our faith. Resolute, determined that we are sons and daughters of light, and we shall not deny it. This is our destiny. Why were you born in this time? Why not 5,000 years ago when, we don't know what's going to happen next, or it's just primitive times? You're born into this time and space so that you can witness to the glory of God when He makes Himself manifest again. He's given us an example, clear example of resurrection from the dead. He's given us a clear example of ascension into heaven. He's given us a very clear example of the transition state. As we say, He descended into hell, and on the third day He rose again from the dead. He died on the cross and descended into hell. Where is that exactly? In other words, He had experience in the transition state. This transition state is a state of neither here nor there, but somewhere where you know you exist. When you're riding the bus, you are quietly aware of the engine noise, the noise of the sound of the road, sound of people softly talking. You are aware of those things. You might be in a completely different state of mind. So, such it is. And we have a whole church religion based upon this gaining of knowledge and experience of these light things, so that we can now become beings of light, sons of light and not the darkness. And we can clearly see those who prefer the darkness and the evil and the death and destruction, the hatred, the warmongering. We can see their evil ways. They want to sacrifice children in their mother's wombs. They want to sacrifice the minds of our children to banal thoughts. Banal, banal, however you say it. And so, trying to indoctrinate children into up is down and right is left and inside is outside, and nothing makes sense anymore. It must be so confusing to be a child now. We can clearly see their agenda. Fire on the earth. But we, being spiritual beings of light, beings of the divine, by our free will choice to answer His call to such an state of existence, can now rededicate our lives. Rededicate our lives to that which is good, which is noble in purpose, which is kind of spirit, which is compassionate for the downtrodden, which is dedicated to relief of suffering wherever we find it, to be of benefit to other beings in this state of life or the next. And so when we say, pray for those who have gone before us, we pray for the living and the departed. Pray for their souls. What are we praying for? Their enlightenment and ascension. That their loss of confusion, that they get their bearings in the spirit world. And spend a long time there. Time really has no meaning in that state of existence. Wherever you think you are, you are. Whenever you think you are, you are. It is a world that's intention-driven and deals with complex things of cause and effect. For us, we try to simplify these down into terms that any of us can understand. So, believe with all your heart, all your soul, and all your strength. Act in accordance with that belief. Do the things of mercy. Show the works of kindness. And love the things of love. You shall be rewarded beyond words to describe. This is your destiny, why you were born, why you're sitting here today, is to learn these things. And having understand them, to now go about your life and experience them yourself. It's possible for you.